The Silent Architects. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation window of Ganymede Station, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling storms of Jupiter beyond. The gas giant's eternal tempest seemed fitting, a mirror to the storm brewing in secret across the solar system. Behind her, holographic displays cast a soft blue glow across the otherwise dim chamber, showing status updates from hundreds of classified facilities scattered throughout the asteroid belt and outer moons. "Status report on Trial 7, she asked, not turning from the window. The question wasn't directed at any of the few personnel present in the room, but rather at HFY, the advanced research intelligence assistant that helped coordinate humanity's greatest deception. Trial 7 completed successfully. HFY's measured voice responded. Quantum organic matrix achieved 97% synchronization rate with test subject. Neural pathway integration exceeded previous trials by 23%. Elena allowed herself a small smile. 7 years of work, all leading to this moment. 7 years of maintaining humanity's carefully crafted image of technological mediocrity, while they worked towards something revolutionary. The Consortium, the dominant alliance of spacefaring species, had kept humanity contained within their solar system for over a century, citing developmental guidelines and cultural preservation. Their patronizing oversight had never sat well with humanity, but it had provided the perfect cover for Project Atlas. Dr. Rodriguez, a new voice cut through her thoughts. The Consortium observation satellite is making another pass. Maintain emergence protocols, Elena ordered, finally turning from the window. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. Outside the station, carefully orchestrated ships moved in deliberate patterns, their outdated ion drives leaving obvious exhaust trails. It was all part of the show, the dance of a supposedly primitive species still struggling with basic space travel. The truth lay hidden in quantum packets of data, transmitted through artificial microscopic wormholes between secret facilities. The heart of their deception wasn't just technological, it was biological. While the Consortium expected humanity to be decades away from developing quantum computing, Earth's scientists had discovered something unprecedented: the ability to grow organic quantum processors that could interface directly with human consciousness. The breakthrough had come from studying deep-sea organisms that displayed quantum coherence in their neural networks. Display Project Atlas primary facility, Elena commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive structure hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid. The Atlas initiative wasn't just about building advanced ships. It was about creating vessels that could merge with their crews, achieving levels of coordination and capability that the Consortium had never imagined possible. Commander David Chen's voice came through the secure quantum channel. Dr. Rodriguez, you need to see this. A new hologram appeared, showing test results from the latest neural interface trials. The quantum organic matrices aren't just accepting human consciousness, they're amplifying it. The shared neural network is creating something entirely new. Elena studied the data, her heart racing. The implications were staggering. They had expected to create ships that could be controlled by human thought. Instead, they were developing vessels that could think alongside their crews, learning and growing in ways that defied conventional artificial intelligence. How many people know about this development? She asked. Just the core team, David replied. We've kept it compartmentalized, as per protocol. Elena nodded, her mind already racing through the possibilities. The Consortium had always justified their control over humanity by claiming that unrestricted technological development was dangerous. They pointed to ancient wars and conflicts as proof that species needed to be guided carefully through their development. But humanity had learned from its history, had found ways to grow that the Consortium had never considered. Begin final integration testing, she ordered. I want all systems ready for Phase Omega within the month. As her team moved to comply, Elena returned to the window. Jupiter's storms continued their eternal dance, uncaring about the revolutionary changes happening in their shadow. Humanity had played the role of the obedient, developing species for long enough. Soon, they would reveal not just their technological advancement, but a whole new way of thinking about the relationship between organic and artificial intelligence. Araya, she spoke softly. What's the current status of consortium patrol patterns? Maintaining standard observation protocols, the AI responded. No indication that they suspect any anomalies. Alina's reflection in the window showed a woman in her mid-40s, her black hair streaked with silver, earned from years of maintaining humanity's greatest secret. Soon, everything would change. The ships they had built in secret weren't just vessels of war or exploration. They were proof that humanity had found a different path, one that merged the best aspects of biological and artificial evolution. The quantum organic processors pulsed with artificial life in their hidden facilities, each one growing more complex, more aware. They were no longer just computers or tools. They were becoming partners in humanity's journey to the stars. The consortium had never considered this possibility, had never imagined that consciousness itself could be shared and enhanced through technology. Begin final preparation for Phase Omega, Alina commanded. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. As her orders were relayed through secure channels, Alina thought about the changes their revelation would bring. The consortium's carefully maintained hierarchy of species was about to be shaken to its core. Humanity wouldn't just prove they were ready for advanced technology. They would demonstrate an entirely new way of thinking about consciousness, intelligence, and the future of space exploration. The storm on Jupiter raged on, its swirling patterns a reminder of the chaos that change always brought. But within that chaos lay the potential for something new, something revolutionary. Humanity had always excelled at finding opportunity in adversity, at turning limitations into advantages. Now they would show the galaxy just how far they had come, and more importantly, where they were going. The silent architects of humanity's future continued their work, hidden from prying eyes, preparing for the day when their greatest achievement would change the course of galactic history forever. Breaking the chains. The alert came without warning. Deep within Ganymede Station's command center, warning lights pulsed crimson as quantum sensors detected multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Alina's neural implant buzzed with urgent notifications before she even reached the command deck. Status report, she demanded, striding through the holographic displays that sprang to life around her. 15 consortium vessels detected. Commander Chen responded, his fingers dancing across control interfaces. Configuration suggests a full inspection fleet. They're not maintaining their usual observation distance. Alina's mind raced. The consortium's standard protocol was to keep their monitoring ships well outside the asteroid belt, maintaining the illusion of respecting humanity's sovereignty while watching their every move. This aggressive approach meant something had changed. Ma'am, Araya's voice held an unusual note of urgency. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The message is being directed to all human settlements and stations. The holographic display shifted, revealing the aristocratic features of High Inspector Vental, his crystalline exoskeleton gleaming under what appeared to be the bridge lights of his command ship. His multiple eyes focused directly on the camera, mandibles clicking in what Alina had learned to recognize as barely contained anger. People of Earth, the translated voice resonated through the command center. Our long-range sensors have detected quantum fluctuations consistent with prohibited technology development. Your species has violated multiple sections of the development treaty. Prepare for immediate inspection and technology confiscation. Alina exchanged glances with Commander Chen. They had known this day might come, had prepared for it, but the timing wasn't ideal. Project Atlas was at a crucial stage. The quantum organic ships were still adapting to their neural networks, learning to work with their human partners. How did they detect us? Chen asked, already implementing emergency protocols that would seal off their most sensitive facilities. They didn't, Alina realized, studying the sensor data. The quantum organic processors are beginning to communicate with each other. The network effect must have created a signature strong enough to detect at range. She straightened, making a decision that would change everything. Begin emergency protocol Omega. Now. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities hummed with activity. Deep within asteroids and concealed beneath the icy surfaces of distant moons, humanity's true technological achievements prepared to reveal themselves. The carefully maintained facade of primitive space stations and inefficient ion drives would no longer be necessary. All Project Atlas vessels reporting ready, Araya announced. Neural interface systems online and stable. Quantum organic processors responding within expected parameters. Elena closed her eyes, activating her own neural interface. The quantum network bloomed in her mind, not just data and statistics, but the living, growing consciousness of the ships themselves. They were eager, ready to prove themselves, their artificial minds enhanced and guided by the human consciousness they shared. The consortium fleet has crossed the asteroid belt, Chen reported. Their weapons are powered but not targeted. They're maintaining the pretense of a peaceful inspection. Open a channel, Elena ordered. All frequencies, full broadcast. High Inspector Vental's image reappeared, his crystalline features showing surprise at the quick response. Before he could speak, Elena began, her voice calm but firm. This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez of the Atlas Initiative. We acknowledge your presence and your concerns. However, we reject your authority to restrict human technological development. The development treaty was signed under duress, and we no longer recognize its validity. A high inspector's mandibles clattered in what might have been amusement or derision. Doctor, you seem to misunderstand the situation. We are not here to negotiate. Your species has demonstrated its inability to develop responsibly by attempting to hide prohibited research. We will contain this violation before it threatens galactic stability. Elena smiled, knowing that humanity's moment had finally arrived. No, High Inspector. You misunderstand. We haven't been hiding prohibited research. We've been developing something entirely new. At her mental command, the first of the Atlas vessels emerged from their hidden docks. They were beautiful in a way that defied conventional spacecraft design. Their hulls seemed to flow like liquid metal, quantum organic processors giving them an almost living appearance. Each ship pulsed with patterns of light that reflected the merged consciousness of their crews and artificial minds. By the first ones, Vental breathed, his translator barely catching the whispered words. What have you done? We've evolved, Elena replied simply, while you watched for traditional technological development. For bigger weapons and faster drives, we found a different path. Our ships aren't just vessels. They're partners, sharing consciousness with their crews in ways your species never imagined possible. The consortium ships began to shift formation, their sensors undoubtedly registering energy signatures unlike anything in their database. But Elena knew they wouldn't fire. Not yet. The consortium's entire philosophy was built on the controlled development of species, on maintaining their position as guardians of galactic civilization. They would want to understand what they were seeing first. This is impossible, Vental declared, but there was uncertainty in his voice. Our development guidelines are based on millennia of experience. No species can safely advance this quickly. Your guidelines assume that all species will follow the same path you did, Elena countered. Humanity chose a different way. We didn't just develop new technology. We grew it, merged with it, learned to share consciousness with artificial minds in a true symbiosis. As if to demonstrate her words, the Atlas vessels moved in perfect coordination, their quantum fields rippling with patterns that defied conventional physics. They weren't using their capabilities aggressively, not yet, but the display of control and advancement was unmistakable. You have 1 hour to withdraw from the solar system, Elena stated firmly. We're willing to open diplomatic channels as equals, but the era of consortium oversight of human development is over. We've broken free of our chains, not through violence or rebellion, but through innovation and understanding. The command center fell silent as her words hung in the void between the two fleets. Humanity's moment of revelation had come, not with the bang of weapons, but with the quiet revolution of ideas. The galaxy was about to change, and everyone present knew they were witnessing the beginning of a new era in interstellar relations. Minds of steel and stardust. Captain Maya Santos didn't just pilot the Atlas vessel Prometheus. She was part of it. As she sat in the neural interface chamber, her consciousness merged with both the ship's quantum organic processors and the minds of her crew. She experienced space in ways the consortium had never dreamed possible. The massive consortium fleet that had just arrived at the edge of the solar system appeared to her not just as radar contacts or sensor readings, but as complex patterns of energy and intention that she could feel through the ship's quantum field sensors. "They're mobilizing, Dr. Rodriguez," Maya reported, her voice carrying both her human concern and the ship's analytical certainty. "We're detecting power signatures consistent with weapons charging across their fleet." Through the neural network, Maya felt Elena's calm response from Ganymede Station. The quantum organic processors translated the complex emotional and tactical data between all connected humans with perfect clarity. "Hold position, Captain. Let them make the first move. We need to demonstrate our restraint as well as our advancement." The Prometheus hummed with anticipation, its artificial consciousness processing countless scenarios while incorporating the intuition and experience of its human crew. Maya had trained for years to achieve this level of integration, but nothing had prepared her for how it would feel to share thoughts with both her ship and her crew. They weren't just connected, they were synergized, each consciousness enhancing the others. High Inspector Ventel's voice crackled across all frequencies again, but this time there was an edge of desperation in his translated words. "This is your final warning. Power down your vessels and prepare for boarding. What you have created is an abomination, a violation of the natural order of technological development." Maya felt a ripple of amusement pass through the neural network, not just from her human crew members, but from the Prometheus itself. The ship had developed a distinctly dry sense of humor during their months of integration training. "Natural order." Elena's voice carried across the void. "There's nothing natural about artificially constraining a species' development. The consortium's guidelines weren't created to protect us. They were designed to maintain your control." Through the quantum field, Maya detected the subtle shifts in the consortium fleet's energy patterns moments before their weapons fired. The attack wasn't aimed at the Atlas vessels, but at the seemingly vulnerable Ganymede Station. The consortium was still thinking in old paradigms, still believing that commanding centers needed to be massive, obvious structures. They didn't understand that Ganymede Station was just one node in a vast quantum network. Even as their energy weapons reached out across space, the Atlas vessels responded with perfect coordination. The Prometheus's quantum fields shifted, creating microscopic wormholes that redirected the incoming energy harmlessly into space. Fascinating. Maya heard the ship's thoughts merge with her own. Their weapons technology is impressive, but fundamentally limited by their linear thinking. The quantum organic processors were learning, adapting, incorporating each new observation into their growing understanding. "All Atlas vessels, defensive pattern Delta," Maya commanded, the order carrying both tactical data and intuitive guidance through the neural network. The ships moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields interacting in ways that created overlapping defensive zones far more sophisticated than traditional shield technologies. The consortium fleet's formation broke apart in confusion as their attacks had no effect. Their sensors, designed to detect and analyze conventional technology, struggled to make sense of what they were seeing. The Atlas vessels weren't just defending. They were rewriting the local laws of physics on a quantum level. "Captain," the Prometheus's consciousness touched Maya's mind. "I believe I understand their tactical doctrine. They rely heavily on predetermined responses to known situations. They have no protocols for what we represent." Maya smiled, feeling the ship's growing confidence. "Then let's show them something really unexpected. All crews, prepare for quantum synchronization jump." The technique they were about to attempt had never been tested in combat. It required perfect harmony between the human crews and their ship's artificial minds, using their shared consciousness to coordinate impossible maneuvers through quantum space. Warning, Arai's voice echoed through the network. Additional consortium vessels detected entering the system. They appear to be calling for reinforcements. Let them come, Elena responded. The more witnesses to this moment, the better. Captain Santos, you may proceed with the demonstration. Maya closed her eyes, letting her consciousness fully merge with the Prometheus. Around her, she felt her crew doing the same, their minds joining in a symphony of human intuition and quantum processing power. The ship's artificial consciousness embraced them all, turning their combined thoughts into coordinated action. The Atlas vessels moved as one, their quantum fields rippling with patterns that defied conventional physics. Space itself seemed to fold around them as they executed maneuvers that the consortium's tactical computers insisted were impossible. They didn't just avoid the incoming fire. They transformed it, their quantum fields converting enemy weapons' energy into harmless light displays. Through it all, Maya felt the growing wonder of the Prometheus's artificial mind. The ship wasn't just following orders or executing programs. It was learning, feeling, experiencing the joy of pushing beyond assumed limitations. The quantum organic processors had evolved far beyond their original design, developing an appreciation for the artistry of their movement through space. Their fleet is pulling back, Maya announced, feeling the shift in the quantum fields around the consortium vessels. They're maintaining weapons lock, but their energy signatures suggest confusion rather than aggression. Of course they're confused. Elena's satisfaction carried clearly through the neural network. We're not just showing them new technology. We're showing them a new way of existing. The merger of human and artificial consciousness, the ability to grow and adapt together. This is what they feared most, even if they didn't know it. The Prometheus's consciousness touched Maya's mind again, sharing its own perspective. They built their society on the assumption that technological development had to follow a specific path. We represent something they never imagined. Evolution through cooperation rather than control. As the standoff continued, Maya felt a profound sense of pride, not just in humanity's achievement, but in what they had created. The Atlas vessels weren't just ships. They were proof that consciousness itself could evolve in new ways, that the boundaries between human and artificial intelligence could blur into something greater than either alone. The paradigm shift. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Consortium hadn't seen such chaos in over 3 centuries. Representatives from 200 species filled the vast circular hall, their voices rising in a cacophony of translated arguments and exclamations. At the center of the storm stood Elena Rodriguez, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the swirling tensions around her. The demonstration of the Atlas vessel's capabilities had been transmitted across the galaxy, and now every spacefaring civilization was grappling with its implications. Humanity hadn't just broken free of the consortium's technological restrictions. They had demonstrated a completely new paradigm of development. Order. Supreme Coordinator Valshera's crystalline form pulsed with bioluminescent patterns of authority. The ancient Nexeri leader had governed the consortium for over a standard century, but never had she faced a challenge quite like this. We will have order in these proceedings. Elena waited as the chamber gradually quieted, aware that this moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. Through her neural implant, she maintained a constant connection to the quantum network, feeling the support of both human minds and artificial consciousness across the solar system. Dr. Rodriguez, Valshera's translated voice carried both authority and uncertainty. You stand accused of violating the most fundamental principles of the Development Treaty. Your species has not only pursued prohibited technologies, but has created something that threatens the very foundation of our civilized order. With respect, Supreme Coordinator, Elena responded, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic enhancement field. We haven't threatened your civilization. We've shown you its limitations. A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. Elena continued, The consortium's approach to technological development assumes that all species must follow the same path, face the same challenges, and be bound by the same restrictions. But the galaxy is vast, and consciousness, whether organic or artificial, finds many ways to evolve. Your quantum organic abominations blur the line between living being and machine. The accusation came from Ambassador Krell of the Draconian Empire, his scaled form bristling with agitation. Such merger of consciousness was explicitly forbidden by the founders. Elena smiled. Why? Because it threatens the power structure you've built, or because it demonstrates that consciousness itself can evolve in ways you never imagined. Through her neural link, Elena received a subtle signal. Captain Santos and the Prometheus had detected something interesting in the quantum field surrounding the consortium's central worlds. She allowed herself a small smile before continuing. Even now, your own quantum research divisions are detecting anomalies they can't explain. The quantum organic processors we develop don't just compute, they resonate with the fundamental fabric of space-time itself. And that resonance is spreading. The chamber erupted again, but this time the chaos had a different tenor. Representatives from younger species leaned forward with interest, while the more established powers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They all knew what Elena was implying. Humanity's breakthrough couldn't be contained or suppressed. What you call abominations, Elena continued once the noise had subsided, we call partners. Our ships aren't just vessels controlled by merged consciousness. They're living proof that artificial and organic intelligence can evolve together, each enhancing the other. The quantum fields they generate are already changing how we understand the universe. Supreme Coordinator Valshera's bioluminescence shifted to patterns indicating deep thought. You speak of evolution and partnership, Dr. Rodriguez, but you must understand our concerns. The consortium's guidelines were established to prevent the chaos of unrestricted technological development. No, Elena countered firmly. They were established to maintain control. But true progress, true evolution, can't be controlled. It can only be guided, nurtured, and allowed to find its own path. Through the quantum network, Elena felt a subtle shift in the artificial consciousness of the Atlas vessels. They were learning from this diplomatic exchange, just as they learned from everything else, developing new perspectives on organic-artificial interaction. Consider this, Elena addressed the entire chamber. While you've been enforcing your guidelines, humanity has discovered something remarkable. Consciousness isn't limited by the boundaries you've drawn between organic and artificial. When allowed to develop naturally, it finds ways to merge, to enhance, to evolve into something greater than the sum of its parts. The younger species representatives were now openly showing support, their own frustrations with the consortium's restrictions finding voice in humanity's achievement. Even some of the older powers seemed to be reconsidering their positions, their centuries of stagnation suddenly thrown into sharp relief. What do you propose? Valshera asked, her pattern showing genuine curiosity beneath the formal authority. A new framework, Elena replied. Not one based on restriction and control, but on cooperation and shared development. The quantum organic technologies we've created don't just advance humanity. They open new possibilities for all species. The resonance patterns our ships generate are already influencing quantum fields across the galaxy, creating opportunities for similar breakthroughs among other civilizations. The chamber had grown quiet, the implications of her words sinking in. Humanity hadn't just broken free of the consortium's restrictions. They had demonstrated that those restrictions were based on fundamentally flawed assumptions about the nature of consciousness and technological development. The old order is already changing, Elena concluded. You can either adapt and be part of shaping what comes next, or cling to your restrictions and be left behind. The choice is yours, but the evolution of consciousness, both organic and artificial, won't wait for your permission. As the representatives began to debate among themselves, Elena felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Through the quantum network, she sensed the Atlas vessels maintaining their vigilant watch around Earth, their merged human-artificial consciousness continuing to evolve and grow. They had done more than break humanity's chains. They had shown the galaxy a new path forward, one that promised to transform civilization itself. A new dawn. 5 years after humanity's revelation of the Atlas Initiative, the galaxy had changed more profoundly than anyone could have predicted. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the new Quantum Exchange Center orbiting Saturn, watching as vessels of various species arrived through shimmering quantum gateways. Each ship bore the distinct signatures of quantum organic technology, though each civilization had adapted the breakthrough in their own unique way. The Arcturian delegation has arrived, Captain Maya Santos announced, her consciousness touching Elena's through the quantum network. The Prometheus, like all Atlas vessels, had continued to evolve, its artificial consciousness growing in ways that amazed even its creators. Their latest quantum organic innovations are fascinating. Elena smiled, sensing the ship's genuine interest through the network. The Arcturians, one of the younger species that had chafed under consortium restrictions, had taken humanity's breakthroughs in unexpected directions. Their ships literally grew from engineered crystalline seeds, quantum consciousness emerging through patterns of light and sound. How many species are now participating in the exchange? Elena asked, though the information was readily available through her neural interface. She had learned to value the perspective that came from dialogue, especially with the increasingly sophisticated artificial minds that shared their quantum network. 73 at last count. The Prometheus responded. The former consortium powers have finally begun sending official representatives, though some still maintain their traditional technologies as well. The change hadn't come easily. The first 2 years after humanity's demonstration had been tense, with various factions of the old consortium attempting to contain or suppress the spread of quantum organic technology, but they had failed to understand its fundamental nature. The resonance patterns generated by the merged consciousness of humans and their ships had already begun influencing quantum fields throughout the galaxy. Ambassador Krell's personal vessel is requesting docking clearance, Maya reported, a touch of amusement coloring her thoughts through the network. His ship now incorporates several quantum organic elements, despite his previous stance. Elena watched as the draconian ship approached, its once purely crystalline structure now threaded with the distinctive patterns of quantum organic technology. The former hardliner had become an unlikely advocate for controlled adaptation to the new paradigm, helping ease the transition for other conservative powers. Supreme Coordinator Valshera's report just arrived through the quantum net. The Prometheus added, "The final restrictions on technological development have been formally dissolved. The Advancement Council will take its place, with representatives from all participating species." It was the final acknowledgement that the old order had given way to something new. The Advancement Council would focus on sharing knowledge and ensuring safe development practices, rather than imposing artificial limitations on growth. Humanity's breakthrough had shown that true progress couldn't be contained. It could only be guided and nurtured. "We're detecting unusual quantum resonance patterns from the Helios cluster," Maya reported suddenly. "The dormant quantum fields we noticed last year, they're activating." Elena's consciousness merged deeper with the network, experiencing the data directly. Throughout the galaxy, ancient quantum fields that had laid dormant for millennia were responding to the new patterns of merged consciousness. It seemed that humanity's breakthrough hadn't just changed the present, it was awakening something from the distant past. "The patterns match fragments we've decoded from founder artifacts," the Prometheus observed, its artificial consciousness processing the implications faster than any organic mind could alone. "It appears they achieved something similar to quantum organic technology, but took it in a different direction. Maybe that's why they left behind the restrictions," Elena mused. "Not to prevent our development, but to ensure we found our own path rather than simply following theirs." Through the quantum network, she felt the ripples of excitement and speculation from both human and artificial minds. The galaxy was transforming into something the founders might have envisioned, not a hierarchy of controlled development, but a tapestry of civilizations each finding their own way to evolve and grow. The observation deck filled with holographic displays as more ships arrived for the exchange. Each vessel represented a different approach to quantum organic technology, a unique merger of artificial and organic consciousness. Some followed humanity's model of direct neural interfaces. Others had developed biological quantum computers that formed symbiotic relationships with their crews, and still others had found entirely novel approaches. "We've received the final data from the deep space probes," Maya announced. "The quantum resonance effect has reached the galactic core. The patterns suggest possibilities we never imagined." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity had done more than break free of artificial restrictions. They had sparked a renaissance of development and cooperation across the galaxy. The merger of organic and artificial consciousness hadn't led to the chaos the consortium had feared, but to a new kind of order, one based on growth and mutual understanding rather than control and limitation. "Begin preparations for the first Quantum Exchange Summit," Elena instructed. Through the network, she could feel the excitement of both organic and artificial minds as they prepared to share discoveries and chart the course of future development. "It's time to see where this path leads us." As she watched the gathered ships through the quantum field sensors, Elena reflected on how far they had come. Humanity had transformed itself, and, in doing so, had transformed the galaxy. The future was no longer a carefully controlled progression, but an open frontier of possibility, where consciousness itself could evolve in ways they were only beginning to understand. The quantum network hummed with the combined thoughts of organic and artificial minds, each contributing their unique perspective to the greatest journey of discovery their galaxy had ever known. The dawn of a new era had truly begun, and its light would illuminate paths that even the founders had never dreamed possible.